before the break, we have another presentation example from Norway. Myself, I visited a heavy water cellar in Vemork in Norway, and I was really impressed not only about the sabotage action as such, as a fact, and I watched the movie and read the books, but I also was really impressed how they interpreted. I was really engaged looking in the museum, so I'm really happy that Gunhild Lurås and Rita Engedale is today with us and show the example of your interpretation for the site. We have 2 mics, so you can switch.
Thanks. Thank you.
And this is changer. Yes.
Hello, thank you very much for inviting us to this conference. As you say, we were from Norway, and actually our museum is called Norwegian Industrial Workers Museum. And we will talk about the exhibit in the heavy water cellar and how we work with public outreach. My name is Gunhild, and I was leading a team that had the academical responsibility for the exhibition.
Yes, and my name is Rita Engedale. I'm the press manager at this museum. And this museum, you can see here, was founded in 1983. But we moved some years after up to this old Vemork power station. And that's our museum. But we got more location, like Jernbanen Railway and Telemark Art Museum and Hedal and Tin Air Open Museum. We got around 100,000 visitors in the year that comes up to Norway. And we are very glad to be here and tell you about this. We have respect for what we are doing in this museum.
And we are not in the center of Oslo. We are 2-3 hours from Oslo. Communicating the story of the heavy water sabotage Operation Gunhild, carried out during the Second World War, is one of the museum's key responsibilities. Heavy water was produced in the basement of the hydrogen factory, which was demolished in the 70s. In 2017, the museum conducted an industrial archaeological excavation, and surprisingly, the entire basement floor was found intact and in good conditions. We were thrilled when funding was secured to construct a building that could preserve these ruins and house a new exhibition. Finally, we could tell the story of Operation Gunhild exactly where it took place. The exhibition was designed by the Danish company Corning in collaboration with the experienced design studio Gagarin, based in Iceland. It opened in February 3 years ago, exactly 8 years after the operation. Telling the story on site gives the visitor a more authentic experience. It was important to present the story in a way that engaged several target groups, especially young people, and allows them to take an active role in the narrative. And as you can see here, the exhibition is on 2 floors. And this is the hydrogen factory. And heavy water was produced in the basement. And that was the last phase of the production. Heavy water played an important role in the German wartime nuclear program. Intelligence from Norway frequently informed British authorities that heavy water production at Vemork was increasing. Between 1940, when Norway was occupied by Germany, and 1942, production increased tenfold. In spring 1942, British scientists concluded that it was possible to build an atomic bomb. Fearing that Nazi Germany might be ahead in the nuclear race, the British decided to destroy the German nuclear program by putting Vemork out of action. 4 military operations were launched against the heavy water production. The British decided to send engineer troops to destroy the heavy water facilities. On the evening of 19 November 1942, 2 gliders, each towed by a bomber, departed from Scotland. A total of 48 young British soldiers participated. The mission, codenamed Freshman, had a high level of risk. Together with technical failures, this caused 3 of the 4 aircraft to crash. 41 British soldiers died, half in the crashes, the rest captured and later executed by the occupying forces. The British then chose a group of 11 Norwegian soldiers from Kompani Linge to perform a new operation. And Kompani Linge was actually a part of a British organization, SOE, Special Operation Executive, that did special operations behind enemy lines. So they had one Norwegian section, one French section, and so on. So there were Norwegians that do the operation, but they were under British command, and that is very important to remember. It was led by 23-year-old Joachim Rønneberg, and when I talked to him at Vemork some years ago, he described that he had several dilemmas. One was his lack of military experience and absence from the battles of Norway in 1940. He did not know how he would react when he was under extreme pressure. Despite these uncertainties, right after midnight of the 28th February 1943, the saboteurs succeeded in blowing up the heavy water cells in the basement. Around 500 kilo of heavy water was lost. No one was injured or killed. However, production resumed already at the end of May. The Americans then decided to bomb Vemork and Rjukan. More than 1,000 bombs were dropped. One struck a shelter at Vemork, killing everyone inside. 21 civilians, including 2 12-year-old boys, lost their lives during the bombing. After this, the Germans decided to stop heavy water production at Vemork and move it to Germany. All remaining heavy water and related equipment were to be transported across Lake Tinnsjøen on the ferry Hydro. And ferry Hydro was a railway. You could take a train on board. No, it was part of a railway. Under Knut Haukeli's leadership, saboteurs planted explosives aboard the ferry. On 20 February 1944, the charges detonated at the deepest point of the lake. About 500 kilos of heavy water sank to the bottom. 18 people were killed, 14 Norwegians and 4 German soldiers. Heavy water story contains many layers and tensions. The international perspective on World War II is one of them. The role of the heavy water in the nuclear race is another. The Norwegian government managed to escape to London in 1940. Some events prior to the occupation of Norway created some tensions between the Norwegian and British government. And so the story has also a national dimension because the Norwegian government was in London, so they could influence decisions. A local and human dimension concerning people involved is also important. An exhibition cannot tell the full story. Choices must be made. One goal was to honor everyone who died in the operations. Even though gunnersides succeeded, lives were lost in the other 3. As a museum, we must tell the truth and respect those involved. The ruins of the heavy water cellar are themselves highly authentic and protected heritage. To protect them and manage visitor flow, a walkway was built through the basement. The story involves war and life or death decisions. It must be presented responsibly, keeping in mind that visitors may include children and people with war experience. And of course, the story must capture people's interests. Why the British decided to carry out a military operation against Vemork is one of the most important questions that need to be explained. The answer is that there were a hydrogen plant on the site that produced heavy water as a byproduct. Vemork was the only place in Europe, perhaps in the whole world, that could supply sufficient quantities of heavy water for the German nuclear program. The museum chose to build an electrolyzer on the site which could be used for this purpose. There were 288 such devices in the hydrogen factory. The first phase in heavy water production took place in these devices. The electrolyzer could thus be used to create closeness to the production process to make it easier to understand. The fact that the saboteurs managed to get into the factory area, blow up the heavy water cells and escape without being captured and without losing their lives is an important success factor in the operation. Visitors expect to understand how the saboteurs infiltrated the area and escaped. The conservation building has a glass facade that provides a wide view over the terrain. With their own eyes, the public can see the steep hillside where the saboteurs walked. They can experience the route down into the deep gorge and all the way into the factory area, and also where they choose to flee. AR-equipped binoculars allows visitors to follow the saboteurs' route and explore key points in the landscape. Footage from films and TV series about the sabotage is incorporated with careful selection to maintain historical accuracy. The event is divided into 3 binoculars: the approach, the attack, and the escape. And when you use this kind of installation, it is very important to make it easy to use. You know, you don't want your visitors to tell afterward, what were you doing at the museum? Yeah, we will figure out how to use the installation. So it has to be easy to use, and you have to understand it right away. The saboteurs faced many difficult dilemmas that could endanger the operation. The solution was not obvious. Under the leadership of Joachim Rønneberg, they always took human considerations when they solved this situation. The exhibit challenges visitors to consider these dilemmas themselves in the dilemma stations. On this one, we ask, as a soldier, you are part of a dangerous operation. You meet a reindeer hunter just a few days before the planned attack. He could be a Nazi, and you may expose the operation. Would you let him go? And they have to answer this. After they are given the answer, they are told how many visitors, other visitors, given the same answer. Then they are told how the saboteurs resolved the situation. In this case, they chose to let the hunter go. But they warned him. They said that if we've been captured, we will tell that you have helped us. We think that the choices the saboteurs made and how they reflected about the solution says a lot about who they were as people. This question is always so important for today's society. Every single day, there are soldiers facing similar situations. And here you can see two other of the demonstrations. The heart of the exhibition is the room where the heavy water cells once stood, the target of Operation Genocide. Even here, the saboteurs showed humanity. When the captured guard asked for his glasses, Joachim Renneberg stopped preparing the explosives to search for them. And this didn't happen just once, but twice. There were German guards outside the building. The longer it took for the explosion to occur, the greater the risk of being discovered by the guards. The dramatic events that are presented in a film projected on 3 walls. The film therefore surrounding the audience with a narrative. It includes animated drawings of the heavy water cells and dialogues between the saboteurs and the night guard. Because Renneberg, after the war, recounted the events on the radio, visitors can hear his own words telling this story. This is, of course, a powerful tool that makes the story authentic. Engaging, here also you can see the Princess Royal in the high concentration room. Engaging exhibitions are essential, but people must also know that they exist. Rita will now explain how she works with the press.
Yes. Well, you can change the photo. Yeah, when you work with the press, journalists all over the world, the heroes of Telemark, Kirk Douglas, 1965, and the story, you have to find the balance. We have a very good people. We are 40 people at the museum, and I can use the archive, I can use the documents, I can use the photograph, I can use the people who really know when I'm sending out press letters and have press events, because when we opened this exhibition, it was a lot of media. Last week, The Guardian was with us, and we have to tell the story the right way, you know? We don't want to just talk about the heroes. We want to also talk about the others. And I remember when the family members of the soldiers who lost their life were coming up to the museum, we cried, the guide cried, and they cried. The real thing is very important for us in the museum. But of course, you know, the story of heroes in Telemark was in 2015, probably you've seen it, you know, this TV series, and that TV series, The Heavy Water War, was showed broadcasting on 20 countries and got in Norway over 1 million views. You know, it was something happened with the visitors at the museum. Everybody wants to come. We at the museum show the exhibition, but we also show the roof the saboteurs went. They were tough young guys going up and down on skis, you know, and we have that roof. And last week, one family member was walking that famous skiing, and people, if you want to come to Norway, you can go that in the summer, and you can also come in the winter. You can really see how tough they were to do that, they did. And here we have Joachim Renneberg. I just also want to tell you that we have also a lot of requests from media out in the countries, and we take them to us. But we also have a team that work in digital channels. You know, we cooperation with the government, and the visit tourism, visit Rjukan, visit Norway, and all of that. But I will just share with you Joachim Renneberg here. You got him. I just want to share a little story with you. I was there when we found the basement under the ground in 2017. It was special. All thing was intact there. What we gonna do? The saboteurs, Joachim Renneberg, he was still alive. You know, He was sitting old in another town in Norway. We fly over to him. And we show him the drawings and the photos, and he said, finally, tell the story where it happened. Tell the young people the real story. Don't let them forget it. Tell it. And that was very special for us. Also, all the media want to meet him. He died, he passed away the year after. Joachim Røytenberg didn't want to be called a hero. He said to me, there's so many out there who is the hero. I just did my job. You can see him here. I think it's, we are very happy that we could share it with him. Yeah. Here you can see our stone at the museum. Have anybody of you been in Norway at the museum? Welcome. Come over. Yeah. You can go. Yes. Like I tell, we got podcasts, articles, we got movies, a lot of things about this story, you know. So you can listen to it, but we also tell it good in the exhibition that Gunhild led. We got it, you know, people can be there where it happened and can hear about it, and also the other, yeah.
This was podcast in an article.
Yeah, this was podcasted in an article, yeah. The government is also very important for us. So here you can see the Speaker of Parliament looking. It's very important for us that the government come. We got visitors a lot from Poland, England, UK, China, Germany. It's very important for us to tell. So yeah. Here they are walking, you know. That trip you can also take if you want. Probably be a little trained, I think it's smart, you know. Yeah. So.
And this is also pictures that the media like, because they are very telling important things, you know, about the white suits that they wear to don't be easy to hide from the planes that were out. So this is I think the footage from the movie, because we don't have pictures of them because that was risky, but we have other pictures that we can use for this purpose to show the landscape and to show how they were dressed. And they even painted their skis in white, their weapons, everything, to get involved with the nature. Yes.
Yeah, here we have this illustration has been all over the news in Norway. You know, it was you can see the cellar, the little one there. You can go down there. So when we work with the media, it's very important for us to tell the right story and not just about the heroes. The personal stories, I have spoken a lot with members, family members, and then it's good to get the story, you know. It's going to be real. And it's still very important today. Look at the world now. We talk also about that. We don't have to forget. And we need it. It's still important today. So I think I don't need to talk more about how we do press work, because it's so many people. We write press letters, and we got a lot of requests from, you know, all kind of different media. It can be articles, stories, it can be tourism, it can be everything. And we have people that we talk with, and I get the right way. It's a good job. It's also a very job that you have to find the balance, you know, how to talk about the war, how to talk about the heroes, how to talk about our museum. Yeah. Yes?
We use modern technology to engage young audience, but also traditional methods as artifacts, objects, text, and photographs. And photographs are very important because you can say a lot about a lot of things with a photograph. Good photographs, communicating, very good. And also we have, it was important to have big photographs. Not fewer photographs and bigger, more than many small ones. Quotes. They help bring the participants to life. Yes?
You can see Joachim Rønneberg here. You have to fight for your freedom and for peace. It's not something you have every day. You have to fight for it every day to keep it. It's like a glass bubble. It's very easy to break. It's easy to lose.
I think that this quote reflects why the story still matters. The saboteurs, as Rita explained, they didn't want to be called heroes. But we believe it's important to honor them. They risked their lives for freedom and democracy, a cause that was greater than themselves. Many soldiers still face such decisions today. And we think that it's very important to remember that. We are, of course, very eager to see how the exhibition resonates with young people. Various evaluation methods are used, including a master study with the school class. And she was studying how if our education program was working. So it's very easy to, it's very important to improve ourselves, so we make sure that we reach our goal to in what we want to say, and that people actually that we make sure that we reach the goal. Another method that we are used is interviewing 4 local young adults, and they were asked, what did you like the most? Did you relate to anything you saw? You know, if you relate to something, you get engaged. You know, so it's very important to ask. Did you relate to anything you saw? Did you learn something new? How did it make you feel? How was it to use the installation? As I say, it is very easy that these installations are easy to use. And now we are going to meet them and hear their answers. Yes. Now let's move you.
Yeah, I feel like I can relate a little bit because I grew up here and I like been walking on the same places and even not thinking about it. And when you see what they have done on the places, like when I have taken my daily walk, and the history that's there is very spectacular.
The different installations were really easy. I felt like they were really self-explanatory, especially this one, which is the electrolyzer. I loved it. It was just a push, and then you got to see the different parts of how you actually make the heavy water, and then they also explain it to you in a really understandable way, and you get to visualize it because you get to see the different parts of the electrolyzer.
It was kind of futuristic because I haven't really used that type of technology in such a way. Probably seen it in VR goggles and gaming and stuff like that, but when you got to use it in this kind of way, it was really a new way to learn, and it was kind of more interesting.
I think the dilemmas make you really think through what they had to go through, and in that sense you can try to relate to and try to think of what you would have done yourself, but at the same time it showed that I actually am so far away from what they did and the actual decisions they had to make, especially the one where they met the man on the mountain and they had to decide whether or not they should let him live because of the risk of him telling. town people do that.
Next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your attention. That was the last.